listen up. uh, Golden State Warriors just won the championship. Um, Fourth title for this group right here, man. Steph Curry played phenomenal. He won the MVP, the finals, which deservedly so. I mean, I think honestly, this might be the greatest win for him overall out of all the championships, because I think considering where this team was at last year, which I think we all knew that they were going to be a problem, right? Considering, they made the play in, they lost to the Lakers, and I forgot who they lost to in the second game in that playing situation. But this team was going to be a problem, right? Clay came back, you know. They went in the offseason. They went and got some guys, some really good guys, some glue guys, Jordan Poole, Gary Payton Jr., all these other guys. But I think this title for Steph Curry, you can see the emotion that this was a special one for him, just because of everything that had happened in the last year and a half or so, having one of the worst records in the season a year ago almost, or before that, you know what I mean? So, but the question that's been on everyone's mind is now, is he, with the MVP in the finals, is he the greatest of all time, or at least in that conversation, with, top 10, top 5, however you want to break it down. Some people have him out, some people have him in. I mean, there's a lot of things you kind of have to consider when you're talking about Steph Curry. One thing, I was kind of like on the fence, but when I look back at everything and just looked at his career so far, and he's still got a ways to go. You know what I mean? He's early 30s, if I'm not mistaken. For the most part, he's been pretty much healthy, and a guy that can shoot will always be able to play in the NBA for as long as they want to, honestly, really, Now, are there some deficiencies in his game? Is he a great defender? No, I mean, I believe he led the league in steals a couple times or so, or he's up there in steals, but mainly because he's got other guys on the team that can play lockdown, solid defense. Guys like Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson when he's healthy, Gary Payton Jr., guys like that. So he doesn't have to focus so much on the defensive side of the ball, more so than the offensive side of the ball. But the question remains: is he a top 5, 10 player of all time? And it's hard to say, because let's just be real. People today, like kids, younger generation, they do not recognize big men as being greats, with the exception of Shaq, right? Because they see Shaq, they see him on TV, they see a dominating force, things like that. But they don't remember guys like Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan, arguably, if not one of the best big men the NBA has ever seen, or the game of basketball has ever seen, right? So people forget about him. And I think it's hard to put Steph in that realm yet. I don't know. I mean, even as I'm talking right now, I'm still kind of debating what he is. Is he one of the greatest? But let me back it up. So let's just say this, right? Steph Curry has changed the game of basketball, whether it's for good or for bad. I mean, we can debate that on another show or time or whatever, right? The three-pointer, when the Splash Brothers were created into existence, we had never seen really people shoot like that. Maybe with the exception of a couple of years ago with the Phoenix Suns and Steve Nash, guys like that. But we had never seen this type of shooting ensemble ever in the NBA. At least he is the greatest shooter of all time. There's no doubt about that. Me and my cousin, we always played this game back in the day. Like, if your life was on the line, who would you want taking that three-pointer? It was, at the time, it was Reggie Miller and Ray Allen. And I would go with Ray Allen, right? And he maybe go with Reggie Miller. But today, it's Steph Curry. I mean, he's the greatest shooter of all time. Now, he has changed the game, whether you like it or not. He's changed it. He's impacted the game in some fashion or form. But does that elevate him into the top 10, top 5, stratosphere? And some people think he is top 5, right? Because he's got the rings, right? Things of that nature. There's some other accolades that have eluded him. He finally got his MVP, finals MVP. He says, what does my boy Barry say? He says, Steph, definitely top 20. I can't give him top 10, right? And I'm kind of like there. Like, there are a lot of great players in the NBA that people don't remember. And like I said before, this younger generation, they don't acknowledge centers. They don't remember that. And I think there are a lot of other great players before Steph Curry. Now, he's definitely not in my top 5. He may be in my top 15. I'll say that, right? If I just had to give my top 3 right now of all time, it's Jordan, Kobe, and LeBron. Those are my all-time greats of all time. And if I had to fill out the 5, I would probably say Kareem, and then I don't know, man. Maybe Wilt Chamberlain. Maybe, I don't know. I wasn't around that time. I didn't really see Kareem, but I know he was a dominating factor. Or even Shaq. I'm sorry, I put Shaq in there. I put Shaq in that top 5. But I don't think Steph Curry still has a ways to go. He has changed the game. He has impacted it, but does that make him a greatest of all time type of player? And the answer is no, I don't think so. Now, I said he's won a lot. What I like and what I respect about Steph Curry, right? This is the one thing I do respect about him. First of all, in this modern NBA era with players wanting to shift and change, and LeBron started all this a couple years ago. He stayed pat, man. He had one bad year. You never heard him say, trade me out of here, or don't bring new guys in because I don't want to play with younger players. All props to Steph Curry, man. I think he'll be a Warrior. He'll never leave the Warriors organization. They're gonna have to force him out. And so that's kudos to him, because given today's modern NBA player, where it's I got to think about me first, I got to think about my legacy first. At that point, he had already won, right? So I get it. But I think he's the kind of guy that he's there for the long run. He's not looking to change the situation just because things don't happen for them in one season or two. And you can see the proof is in the pudding that he elevated his team. And I said, this is probably not the best. This is not the most talented team to win a championship with the Warriors, right? They've had more talented teams than this. But this one was special, like I said before, just because of the fact that this team wasn't built really to win a championship this early, but the way they gelled in, the way Steph Curry handled himself, Clay was able to come back, Draymond doing his thing, and shout out to Draymond. I don't really like the guy. I don't really like him as a player, but he kind of changed his game up. He knew that he sucked in the finals, man. And he was just getting in the Celtics head, but that's for another time. But overall, is Steph Curry an all-time great? No, he's not. He's not one of the greatest of all time. I would say he's in the top 15 for me, for sure, just because of his shooting ability. Outside of that, like I said, marginally, he's a marginal defender. He can create his own shot. I will say that. Winning. See, to me, like, individual accolades don't mean a lot to me, because here's the thing. Because some people say, oh, well, he's NBA all time, whatever. Da 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 da. It's like, well, those are all subjective, because if we're talking real facts right here, right? So I read this the other day. So Phil Jackson, probably, if not the greatest NBA coach of all time. Let's just say he is, right? He's only won Coach of the Year once. Once. The greatest coach of all time in the NBA has only won Coach of the Year. So I can't really go off of that, because sometimes it's just a matter of situations, what's going on in that season, things of that nature. And then I think, like, LeBron has only won the MVP, I don't know, like 2 times, I think. I'm speaking on time. I don't know. I don't have the facts, but he could arguably win it almost every other year, if not every year, especially in his younger years, right? And they're giving it to guys like Steve Nash, double twice, Giannis winning it back to back. Russell Westbrook had it one time. It's kind of like those awards are nice, but really you can't really look at that all the time. And then even championships, you can't even look at that sometimes. I mean, you got to look at it. It's all relevant, but you can't put all these things and hold it to be like that's the only thing. Like, that what makes him great. When we look at Jordan, of course he's the greatest, right? Six finals, never lost, undefeated. I believe he was the MVP in all those finals, or close to it, if I'm not mistaken, if my memory serves me correct. But it's the way he played the game. There's all these things about these guys that make them, at least in my opinion, the greatest of all time. And I think Steph, even though he's a tremendous shooter, he's a tremendous teammate, one of the greatest teammates of all time. I'll give him that. But will he surpass guys like Kobe, Michael, Shaq, and even LeBron? And I think, the answer is no. The answer is no. So let me know what you guys think, man. Am I off base? I mean, I know there's Warrior fans out there, and they'll beg to differ. Like, he is the greatest of all time, which I get. But if we're being objective here and not being a fanboy, because I'm not a fanboy like that, I'll keep it real. But I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below.
Clutch Sports Talk. Let's go.